Okay, so we are checked into the hotel. It is Friday, and the taper's almost complete. We just have 2-mile warm-up, 2-mile run tomorrow, and I got everything laid out behind me. I got my water in for the night, carb loaded. I didn't realize how many carbs I had to eat beforehand. I think I was mistaken when I said I understood carb loading correctly, which is exciting because maybe for this race I'll be extremely energized and properly fueled for the day. But I'm going to look over the strategy one last time tonight just to make sure that I have everything down. But I feel great. I'm going to stretch, get to bed. It's 9:33. They gave us these wristbands. I actually checked in tonight, so I took care of that. I'm going to drop the bike off tomorrow at 10, light breakfast, and yeah, the pro panel starts at 11, and then hopefully Caroline will roll in then, go see the family after that. Should be a solid weekend. I think there was some rain in the forecast for tonight, but hopefully that passes. I do have my stickers that I'm going to put on. I think I left my helmet in the car, which is fine. But I think I'm gonna end up doing one gear bag if I can fit everything in that. They gave us a bag, which is actually pretty cool. And I got a shirt that I'm wearing tomorrow. You'll see it, it's back there. I'm excited. I feel like this race is the first race that I'm not extremely nervous about. I'm actually feeling more excitement than I am nervousness. But I had my swim today. I did 2 1,000s and then 2 500s with 1 minute rest in between. And I swam great. I even tried like the wetsuit, made sure to rinse it off because it was like a chlorine pool, obviously. But it went really, really well. And I think what I was telling myself in the water today, that like panic sets in and then I feel like I acknowledge it, but then I try and like fix it by slowing down. But like on the bike and when you're running, like you don't really panic. You just understand that it kind of hurts, but you keep going because you know you can. And I feel like I'm finally gotten to that point in the water where my shoulders and my back, like the muscles that I used to swim, are obviously not going to feel good when I'm trying to push the pace. But that's not a sign that anything bad's happening. I just need to acknowledge it and then just press on and soak that in. So that's the goal. I think my fridge might be open, so I'm going to fix that and then I'm going to go to bed. All right. Welcome back to the last episode of the Ironman 70.3 Maryland training series. So, it's been a couple of weeks. It's been busy, but we've been training. We recovered. So, let's start from 2 days out. So, 2 days out, and I was doing a lot of research, and I think I touched on this, on how much I should really be fueling before the race. And to my shock, I was carb loading somewhat randomly, just thinking, rice here, carbs there, banana here, XYZ. So I was trying to be a little bit more strategic about like my fiber intake and my fat intake and how much protein I was taking in, because each of these macros plays a different role in the race day. I think my aim was like around 600 grams of carbs 2 days out, and then 900 grams of carbs 1 day out, which is so much. So I didn't exactly get there, but I got close, and I mainly did that through rice, and then a few different bars, and then potatoes. I got some good sleep, actually, surprisingly, 2 days before. 1 day before, I got the shakeout run in. The taper went very well. And then I woke up on race day, and it was basically the perfect storm. So there was actually a real storm, a rainstorm, on the radar predicted to come by. And it did not rain even a little bit. It was overcast. The sun came out later in the day, post-race. But it was literally like the perfect storm for me personally. But then also conditions-wise, it was just ideal. So I think the top 5 male pros all broke the course record. So that goes without, that goes to show, like, it was a day to be fast. So obviously I don't want to take away from how happy I am and how well I did. But I think that it was easier to do well than in normal conditions with Eagleman due to like the typical heat that you have on course or the crosswinds that you have on the bike, which we didn't really have any of. So let's just dive right into this perfect storm of a day, right? So the swim I'm looking here too, I got some notes, 36:26, which I think for a mile, 1.2 works out to around 143 a minute and 43 seconds per 100 yards, or 153-ish per 100 meters. The big takeaways from the swim for me was that I sighted super well. I practiced a lot of sighting the month leading up, and honestly, I think I should be doing it more frequently, but I think just getting the rhythm and understanding the feeling of sighting without panicking, because it does put a little bit of additional, I think, stress on your cardiovascular system because you're not breathing at your normal side, because I just breathe every 2 strokes, every 2 strokes, right? So on the same side. But yeah, so I sighted very well. So I think that I was swimming so under my actual true capacity because I was always getting to that point where I would have minor, just normal lat fatigue. And I'd be like, oh, I need to slow down because what if something goes wrong? So I had a really good mindset shift leading up to that, and I think that all played into this. And then I also, I had sighted well, and that was and then the mindset shift. Oh, I drafted really well. I actually, on one whole section, because it was just a big loop, it was one of the straights leading out when the current was actually kind of nasty, fighting us. I found somebody's feet, and I actually was able to stick with them, and I definitely noticed a difference. And that was the first time I've actually felt true racing and drafting in the water. So I hope to be able to do that moving forward. So I think just knowing I got out, I swam well for my capability. I pushed, coming out of the water, I see Caroline, I see my family, and I was 36 minutes, 26 seconds, we're going to have a great day. So I get onto the bike, and the goals around 22 miles per hour is basically what I needed. And a bunch of other things too, which was keeping my heart rate under 150 and keeping my normalized power around 220. And then, just managing how fast I was going and trying to aim for that 22 if all the numbers were working out. I mean, the main thing was keep the heart rate under 150, or else the cardiovascular system is going to have a really tough time on the bike. And I think, I pride myself on my pacing abilities. Sometimes I do feel like I leave myself, I think I could have pushed myself a little bit more. I've gotten to the end of a lot of races, whether they're triathlon events or just standalone run events, where I'm I wonder how much more I truly had, because I really wanted to feel at the end of this race I gave it my 100% effort with nothing left on the table. And that is difficult to do because on the bike from mile 0 to 10, how fast can you really test that pacing knowing you have 46 miles left to go? So I really just stuck to the plan. I trusted my coach, and I trusted the data and the training that was put in. And I truly don't have much to say bad about the bike. 23.7 miles per hour average. I kept my heart rate around 140. I think it was 143 or 144 average. I felt focused. I never really lost sight of those key indicators, and also just on the road I felt very safe. The course was great. Most of it was basically shut down just for bikers. There was a portion of the time when there was some drafting going on, which it's tough because you don't have a lot of those refs being hey, give us those 6 or 7 bike lengths in between. And you also want to stick to your own race plan. So there was a portion of time where I was kind of battling a little bit of a large chunk of people who were drafting. But I basically was just trying to remember to stay true to my plan. And if there was going to be give them the space, if there's going to be a lot of people there, and just try and stick to, making sure that if you're going less than 22 miles an hour, you need to get past them, and you need to get past them in a timely manner, right? And then not just get past them, because then they're probably going to cut past you. You need to get past them and then some. So that was a little bit of a difficult, little chunk, but it honestly came at a good time when my butt kind of started hurting. You're getting a little bit tired in the TT position, so it kept things a little bit interesting, which was good. So I get into T2, legs, and these I really chalk up to my 2 to 3 race day simulations that I did beforehand, where I did bike run like a bike and then a run off, and kind of simulated those two, the transition and then going into the last leg of the race. And I felt familiar with the pain in my thighs and in my hip flexors. So I was like, I wasn't panicked. Like, I knew that this was a comfortable amount of discomfort, if you will, that I knew I could still really push the pace. So I get into transition. By the way, my transitions, I should say, I didn't have these notes down, 4 minutes each. The transition zones were really long, where you had to do a big loop around. Massive transition zone. So I'm not going to say I bet I probably could have saved 2 to 2.5 minutes if I would have been running a little bit faster. But I don't really knock it that much, because I didn't miss any fueling. I got all my stuff. I wasn't panicked in transition. Usually I try and rush, because I have everything laid out in a very methodical way where it's just left to right each time. But I was like, just take your time, catch your breath. And I knew after the bike, obviously, that I was doing well in terms of my 5-hour goal. So I just wanted to make sure that I did not screw myself over at all for the run. So then basically crush the bike by 6 minutes in front of my goal. So we get into T2, everything's going well. Like I said, mindset's good, body's feeling good, fueling is great, and I take off on the run. And this is what I was talking about with pacing, is you have to make sure that this is a progression style run where you're ending faster than you're starting, essentially. That's the proper way to race. And that's exactly what I did. Absolutely nailed the half marathon, 6:54 average pace for a 1:30, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 40-second race on the the chip time. So that is my fastest half marathon I've ever run. I think it was a PR by 3 minutes. And that's after the swim and the bike. End of 2025, we go for the 125 standalone half marathon. And yeah, that's kind of a segue into basically saying 4 hours, 39 minutes, 28 seconds on the final chip time for me. I think on the run I was 20th, so I was top 20. To have a run and to know that I ran strong, top 20 in my age group, I think it goes to show, one, my coach and I are doing something well. One, we're training well, but we're also understanding what I'm capable of and how to pace really well. I feel like that's going to pay dividends down the road once I truly have a massive base of fitness, which obviously we're already trending in the right direction, but getting faster, getting a little bit more race experience, that pacing and that understanding of the body, I think is really going to pay off. So overall, like I said, the perfect storm. I could not be happier with my effort, and not many races go perfectly and according to plan, so we are taking this in stride. We enjoyed it, but moving forward in terms of what I think will help me down the road is going to be lifting more. So I'm going to be doing 2 lifts a week minimum, and that is because on the run I needed a little bit more quad strength, and I think they took a little bit of extra hit. They took a little bit more. They took one more fatigue because of the TT position. So it'll be interesting to see, because I'm using my road bike in August. So obviously the fatigue in the legs will probably be a little bit different, because this course was flat, and using the road bike and then having to cover 5,300 feet of elevation is going to be a little daunting. So yeah, I'm going to continue to really work on my sleep. I'm going to keep being consistent, and I'm going to lift twice a week. So hopefully I will be able to get back to these weekly updates and let you know how training's going leading up to, I guess now this would be August 4th race, the Steelman in Quakertown, and then the August 17th race, and then we'll go from there. So it has been a pleasure. 4:39:28, we did it. We broke 5 hours, and I appreciate the comments, the likes, the follows. If you are enjoying this, be sure to continue to follow along, and we will see what happens the remainder of 2025. All right, peace.